Food Future Bridport is an opportunity to take action, to strengthen our local food system, and really it's your vehicle. It's a chance for growers, retailers, cafes and restaurants, community projects, policymakers and consumers, indeed everyone who eats, to act together creatively and to use our economic power to support our local food system, using our voices to call for the kind of food system we want. And I think that means asking questions of our retailers, asking them can they stock more local produce and to label it so that we know what it is, asking questions of our eating places, where do they get their supplies from, can they source more locally, and putting sustainable diets into practice in our own kitchens.
It's not frivolous or niche, it's actually fundamental to us achieving a sustainable food system in the future.
Thinking about the film and what it's saying and linking it to the Land Workers Alliance, which I helped to set up, it's fairly obvious that the current food system is defunct. There's so many good smaller scale growers and farmers and producers around the UK that aren't getting the support that they need.
The big message which comes through in a sense is that if you don't choose local, you'll end up with what you're provided for. But the irony of West Dorset is that our local MP is the chief architect of the Tory manifesto and the Tory policy, and has been since very closely engaged since Margaret Thatcher's period. So if you want to make a change, you need to target Oliver Letwin, and he sits here in West Dorset. So I think the challenge to all of us, and I'd like to see perhaps for CLS, is let's get more political. Let's get Oliver Letwin on a platform, and let's ask him what he's doing to support small farmers such as us and other people. The current policies, he said, they've removed all subsidies for anybody under 5 hectares. That's ridiculous. So the more land you have, if you have 16,000 hectares and you sit up in Norfolk or wherever else, you're just creaming it. You're just making so much money. It is absurd, and that's our money, and it's our taxes. So I think one thing the CLS can do, and what other people in the community can do, is ask Oliver Letwin, get political and make a change.
My big wish, having seen the film, I'd love it if we had a monthly or quarterly market similar to the ones that we saw in Bath and Bristol, where there's outside market stalls overflowing with vegetables that are organic and locally produced. At the moment, I know we have I think it's monthly farmers market, but it's in the Arts Centre in here, and it's kind of cut off from Main Street and it's inside, and it'd be great seeing some of the images that we've seen. I think that'd be really lovely if the streets were a bit more filled with it on the mainstream rather than tucked away.
Your big wish for the future of food in Bridport?
Heavens. That everybody in Bridport who wishes to could afford to eat and eat sustainably.
And your own pledge to action for a sustainable diet, personally?
No, I'm not sure I could do much more. Eat even more locally than I do already, which is fairly local, as you might imagine.
Yeah, and for the community?
And for the community, try to sell more local stuff. I could do that as well.
Yeah, certainly. All right, great, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
That we have more organic food produced and sold locally would be important for me. And also more people, as you actually mentioned to her before, more people buying food locally from independent shops. I think that would be really good, just to get people out of the supermarket.
Why perhaps do you think people don't buy as much as they could?
Locally? I think there is a myth of probably it being more expensive in local shops. Well, whether it's a myth or not, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. And it might still be convenience because people are so used to just trot down to the supermarket and get all I need, blah, 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 blah. Instead of going around the corner and buy fresh veg that is there from local farmers. So I think that might be it, but who knows.
In October, Transition Town did another survey on all the sources of fresh fruit and veg in Bridport, and simply took a seasonal basic list of things you might want and compared the prices. And the difference wasn't that great, although certainly don't shop in Spa, because it was £4 more than anything else. But the stalls were for either not the farmers market, but the washing pool stalls or other stalls were really quite cheap and were comparable with most supermarkets. So there really was very little different. Only, of course, if you cook from scratch. No processed foods.
I'd like to see a food buying cooperative, buying from local suppliers, local farmers, and I would quite like seeing the market happening more often, the farmers market, if that was twice a month rather than once a month, and more land wherever possible given over to growing along the lines of incredible edibles in Todmorden. So I think it's not one, that's three things really, but there we are. I'm greedy in that respect.
Sorry, good thing is coming through. Can you just explain a bit more about how you think a cooperative might work?
Well, I think what I would hope is that if we could buy in bulk, then that might mean that we could put the prices down, and that might mean that we could open the chances for buying more people involved in buying locally produced food, because I think there is a worry that it's expensive, and I think organic food often is expensive for people, and it would just seem to me that might be one way of cutting the costs, giving the growers a good price, but perhaps enabling the people who are going to buy to pay slightly less. I don't know. That's one of my ideas anyway, or my hopes, my thoughts. Bridport's perhaps better than some places, but I don't necessarily think it's that good or as good as it should be.